Welcome back to another edition of Hockey on 216, proudly brought to you by Hyundai. As you can see, Bridget and Crinison back with me. We're coming live from the Hyundai dealership in Veltevreden Park today, so there's a bit of activity going on around us. But Crinison, great to have you back. You've been traveling a bit, lots of things all over the world, and including a little stop in London where your brother was part of that, the Proteas winning the Test Championship. That's really special.
No, I mean, an incredible privilege to share that moment with him. You know, coming from a very small town in South Africa and ending up at Lord's, and him being part of that team was a dream come true for him, and certainly made our family very proud.
Yeah, absolutely. Well, I think we're all still glowing in the absolutely off that wonderful win by the Proteas. It feels like ages ago now, but it's only a month ago, and the world moves on, and so does the hockey world. So we were back into derbies again this weekend. So you know, that's that time of the year. Whoa, bit of action, on the floor at the Hyundai dealership.
Brand new cars everywhere.
Someone's getting a new car all the day, aren't they? So anyway, we'll take a quick break and we'll get back to the show. Well, someone's got a brand new i10.
That's a great little car. You can see I'm going to be zooting all over the place.
Nice colour.
Yeah, it's a beautiful color. Very cool.
Well, there we go, back.
Feels like it should be a Friday afternoon.
Exactly.
Not Monday afternoon.
Wish that was me getting something, a new car out there. It'd be quite special. But we're back into derby season, and some interesting results around the country.
Good to see the teams back in action again after the provincial weeks and school holidays. I think a much needed break for some of the players
and coaches, I'm sure.
And coaches, absolutely. Some upsets in the first weekend back.
Well, we'll get to some upsets. I'm sure you've got a few of those for me. But
I see where you're going with that.
I think everyone sees where you're going with that. First up, Jeppe beating DHS at home. Probably, not surprising there. I think for us, this Jeppe boys team, together with Sachs, definitely the two best teams in the country, given their respective results, and a solid 4-2 win. I think it was a lot tighter than it looked. It was they really only got away with it quite deep in the game.
I see, actually, Sia, the coach of Jeppe, he made mention of how tough the game was.
Yeah.
That the DHS side was so ruthless and just kept going. They never gave up, and you would expect that from DHS, but Jeppe also just clinical. They really do make it work for them when they're in the circle.
Really good
I mean, I think in a way it's what I was thinking that St. Stithians would do to Jeppe in the Aitken final.
Yes.
that flair going forward. Yeah. DHS have flair in abundance. They often, I think they've been found lacking perhaps from a defensive point of view this year, but they score goals, and you can see scoring 2 goals against Jeppe. Jeppe haven't conceded many this year.
It was only 1-0 up at the half-time break, so it was tight deep into the game. Down in Durban, Northwood beat Glenwood 4-2, probably a result that we would have expected. The Northwood team have largely been good value this season. The next one I'm going to leave to you guys. I don't really want to read it out, to be quite honest.
The home of the Reds losing to Uffies. I think it's a tough one, Calvin, for you guys. What did you say? It's the first time it's ever happened?
I think it's the first time
ever that Maritzburg College has lost to Uffies on an AstroTurf. I think on a rugby field, it's pretty much the other way around. But a fantastic result for Uffies. They played good hockey this year. Some really good hockey and a very well coached side. We've seen that. And 3-2 up against Maritzburg College team full with a couple of SA schools and inland players. So really good result.
And the Uffies under-16 team also won.
Yes,
absolutely.
So that it's coming through the system.
An indication of what's to come.
Out of Uffies.
Young Michael James Saliers and that team had an outstanding game again for the Uffies outfit.
Very happy for Colin Mendoza, who's just taken over the Uffies program. I think that coming into a school with a rich history like Uffies, you need these kind of results to sort of get the backing of the community, particularly
Absolutely.
from a hockey perspective. And so exciting things to see from them going forward. I think it's just reward for they've had a good season. They probably got on the wrong end of some results, but
Absolutely.
but
One or two
certainly that's a
injuries that
very,
set them
very
back.
good
So,
result for them.
Look, I think enough about that particular game.
Moving along.
Moving along to probably what was another disappointing result for one of the teams. Paul Roos drawing 3-3 with Rondebosch. A great result for Rondebosch. Paul Roos will no doubt be a bit disappointed. Their season seems to be just tapering off.
Yeah, I mean, again, Calvin, I probably sound like a stuck record. Maybe people are happy they haven't heard from me for a couple of weeks, but, I wonder about the number of games being played. Paul Roos have gone to a lot of tournaments, a lot of festivals. The boys have played at provincial tournaments. They had the lion's share of the boys in the Boland team. So these guys wouldn't have had much of a break, both at under 16 and first team level. So, you wonder if there is some fatigue there. I know certainly from our players at school, those boys who went to provincial tournaments, as we discussed before the provincial weeks, it's almost like they were tapering off at the wrong time, so to come back and play again at this level. But, kudos to Rondebosch. They obviously had a plan and executed that plan, which is great.
I think Coach Miguel from Rondebosch will be absolutely thrilled with that result. Because
that's a great result because they haven't had the best of seasons, and that's against the top 3 team in the country. It's a great result. Kez winning 2-0 away, or no?
They were away.
They were at home. Against Pretoria boys. I mean, that's probably a result I think we spoke about last week. Could go either way. Another one that probably has gone against Pretoria boys. They'll be disappointed with. Kez will be very pleased with a very good win.
No, for sure. I mean, the boys are testament to what we've been saying about their team this season. They haven't got the results that they've wanted, but I think they had 2 boys in the national under 18 A and B team. So a quality team. So Sharman will be very happy with that result. That Kez team, I think, has started to play with a lot of maturity. I can certainly see that Sharman's influence coming through there, and the sort of experience from their top players really starting to pay off.
Speaking about Sharman, he'll remind us that they're not Kez, they are King Edward the 7th School. He reminded us quite a lot. I think you were away from that show.
They've got a big fixture this weekend as well.
They have. So what's it, JP?
JP Kez. So
Yes.
that's also
JP
going
Kez,
to
maybe
If I'm not
give it
mistaken,
time
it's
for a
the
surprise.
100th playing of the
Yes.
JP Kez derby
Oh wow.
this weekend.
Okay, well that's going to be something quite special, and no doubt that'll be available on the SuperSport Schools app. Won't it, Bridget?
100% it will.
Absolutely. Moving down to the Eastern Cape, KJ Friends Selborne team had to come from behind against Hudson Park. I mean, that's your part of the world. That's not something that happens too often. Selborne coming from behind against the Hudson Park team in the Hockey Astro.
No, I mean, Selborne, the traditional sort of top hockey school in East London, have also had an up and down season.
Yeah.
And I think that some of the other teams have fancied their chances against. I think there was a close game with Selborne and Cambridge, and now a close game with Hudson Park. So, some of the Selborne guys will be hoping that that team comes right next season and produces some better results.
Yeah.
Down at Quebec, Grey High had a really good week. Lots of goals. They beat the English touring team, Magdalene College, 7-1. And then a 5-1 win against York High with young Elkington with a hat-trick. So just some more really solid hockey for them. But, one of the things we do worry about, Grey High, do they get enough seriously good competition in their home league?
And I think they end up playing each other quite often. If you think of some of the other results, they've been repetitive results. And I think that's, unfortunately, you end up kind of becoming a little bit complacent in the lower stage of the season because you're playing a Pearson again or a so-and-so again.
And I think it's been a challenge for Grey for some time now. They a big boys' school in Port Elizabeth. I think the closest like-minded school is Selborne in East London, so that would give them a full fixture.
You do forget St Andrews, halfway between, I suppose. Smaller, but yes.
Much smaller than Grey. I mean, so probably half the size of Grey, but they have to travel a lot to play. I know they go down to Wynberg, they play Paul Roos as well. So, it's a sort of easier weekend for them. But I must say this York High, in past they've given Grey a run. So
Jason Slater has done incredible work
and
out of York.
I know it's one of the games that he eyes out in the season
for them.
because a lot of the boys from that region end up going to Grey and becoming boarders at Grey and leaving
York.
the southwestern district. So,
Yeah.
so it's a game that York really eye
And
out.
in
Sure.
in a Quebec Makunda clash,
Yes.
Pearson 2-0 over Graham College, probably expected.
Yeah. Yeah.
Sterling and Dale College played to a 3-all draw.
Yeah.
Nice to see from Sterling
one in
yet
the,
again.
in the Eastern Cape, and so some really good action in the Eastern Cape and back in their hockey. A lot of girls were playing in tournament hockey, and we're gonna dig into that a bit later in the show. But there were a couple of derby matches, Bridget, still going on. Probably the one that really stood out for us was obviously Renish versus Polchim. I mean, it's pretty much the 1 and 2 team, not only in the Boerland, but two of the two best teams in the country. Chris Gerber will be very pleased with the 1-0 win, especially seeing as they lost that fixture
Last
to Polchim 3-2 last year. So Anel van Zyl taking over has had a really good year with her girls. A good win for Chris and the Renish team.
Yeah, I think that Renish side, we've seen them sort of roller coaster their way through the season, but they're ending on such a high at the moment, and that just shows the consistency of the players. And I think from Chris's side, the coaching, keeping them motivated. It's been a long season, so a great result for them.
And then obviously the Hudson Park Clarendon, so the East London derby 1-1, so all square in East London for the girls.
That one, I mean, Hudson Park getting a win over Clarendon, a draw, is such a good result for them, because remember, Clarendon have had a good season.
Clarendon have had a really good year, so they'll be a bit disappointed on that, no doubt. Another big clash, DSG Makunda, a narrow 1-0 win over Pearson. A really good result for Pearson, and it took a little bit of magic from that Holderness again.
Yeah, I think
to change that result. It really sounded like it was one person that got it over the line there in the end.
I mean, Pearson's hockey program is going incredibly well.
Absolutely, both
and this,
boys and girls.
Yeah, this DSG team has boxed with the best around this year. So for that game to go down to the wire, I think a good result all round for Pearson. And I think DSG will be happy to get away with the win at the end.
And I actually think this is their second game versus Pearson. If I recall, DSG got a much higher win than their first game. It was like a 4-1 or something like that.
Was substantially more. So
that for Pearson shows the progression that they're making against a opposition like DSG.
Lastly, down in that part of the world, Collegiate, similar to Grey High, on the road, 11-0 against Framesby on Friday night, 2-0 against York on Saturday. Collegiate again, just really dominant in that part of the world.
Yeah, it's a good result against York. I mean, York, they have an incredible hockey program. Really lots of praise for what they do down there in George, and Collegiate will be happy with that win.
Absolutely. So we'll be back after the break talking a bit more about some of the tournaments that have taken place around the country this past weekend. Welcome back to Hockey on 216, proudly brought to you by Hyundai. And as you can see, we are live from Hyundai Veltevreden Park. Lots of action going on. Definitely been a few cars being sold and shipped in and out of here today. So
busy
been
place,
a good day at the office. There's some salesmen earning commission, that's for sure. Bridget, it's been we were just chatting before the break. The boys were sort of back playing derby hockey, but around the country, quite a few of the girls involved, certainly up here in Gauteng and obviously down in KZN in some tournaments. This past weekend saw the start of Haulpullen in Gauteng, and maybe just for those viewers that don't know exactly about Haulpullen, don't come from Gauteng, maybe just give us a bit of the history of Haulpullen.
Yeah, so it's actually been going since 2006, I think it is.
Yep, 19th year, that's correct. So big year next year, 20th.
Big year.
Hopefully they're putting something on quite big for it.
I hope so. But I mean, it's such a clever concept. They mirrored that of Aiken and Bowden. Tournament style hockey where you play a whole lot of games of all the teams in the region. So they've actually invited Pretoria teams into the Haulpullen. Yeah,
so it started out as Joburg schools playing. Yes. They included obviously the Pretoria schools, and I think if I'm right, 36 teams participate.
Well, they're different sections as well.
Yeah, they go A section, B section, under 19, under 16, and it's 35-35. So
Pullen is the under
Pullen
18?
is Yes,
And-
under
and-
19s, yes. And
and
Howell's
Howell,
and
and obviously named after Rob Pullen
Yes.
and Ros Howell, who stalwarts of hockey both in South Africa, but specifically in girls hockey in schoolgirl hockey in Johannesburg. So
Yeah.
aptly named, isn't it? It's always nice to
No,
see them being recognised for their contributions to this wonderful game. Of
I
ours.
think it's so important. We've spoken a lot on the show about the wonderful resources we have in terms of coaching in South Africa, and I'm a big believer in rewarding people and honouring them for a lifetime of commitment to the game. I think more of it should happen.
Absolutely.
And
well.
I mean, both, Rob's Pullen is still heavily involved at Kingsmead, and Ros was at St Mary's for many
Still
years.
involved. She's very
Still
involved with the old
involved.
girls there, so
Yes.
she's. I don't think they'll
So-
ever get rid of her there.
Exactly,
She'll be
exactly.
there for life.
Yeah, so we had our Pullen starting. It started on Saturday, the 26th of July, and now come Tuesday, so we're shooting today, but tomorrow they play quarterfinals. So there's big tournaments happening all over, and it's
Okay.
at 4 different regions. 4 different venues, and then
That's
they're
Tuesday the 29th of the
Tuesday the
quarterfinals.
29th. Then they go Thursday, they go to the semi-finals, and then Saturday is the big finals. So, a lot of hockey, they spread it out.
And where would one watch the finals on Saturday, Bridget?
It depends very much on who goes through as the finalists. So that's what's quite cool, is that you get to almost host if you are winning.
qualify.
Okay.
So
okay.
St
So
Mary's,
these-
if they go
These
through,
quarterfinal matches are being hosted by the teams who finished highest in the pool, and the
Yes.
similarly will be the semi-final
Yes.
and so on.
Yeah.
Okay.
So they have core venues, but then, like St Mary's, for example, are hosting the quarterfinals. We've got the under 16 quarterfinals, Waterkloof help Mekar.
Well, maybe before we get into
Okay.
we didn't do too well last week. You were away, and your colleague from St Albans, Guy Elliott, and I were on the show. We got a few badly wrong. I think we went for Pretoria boys over Kes. Guy probably because of the Pretoria connection. Me because I actually thought that would be the result in
Yeah.
Pretoria. We both got the Maritzburg College result horribly wrong, and,
So you
and
say-
Guy's coached at both
yeah,
schools.
no,
but again,
So you're saying we're going to have a
So I
nice
think-
little
yeah, I'm
competition?
surprised you
Yeah.
both
I think,
went for college.
let's see how we can do,
Okay.
because this is really the best of the schools in
I'm gonna take
Gauteng.
notes.
Girls hockey in Gauteng has been quite interesting this year. I don't think there's any sort of clear dominant teams. There's some teams who've had some very good seasons, but let's see how we go and see how we pick
Okay.
on these.
So
So it's quarterfinals. So it's
I'm going to call the quarterfinals. You
8
call what
matches
you think.
altogether.
Under 16 and under 8 and
Yeah,
under
so
19.
4 and under
Yeah.
19 and 4 and under 16.
Okay.
Let's see who.
All right, so let's go
Who got this?
first with the Hull, the under 16 quarterfinals. So you've got at St Mary's on Tuesday, Waterkloof versus Hulp Mekar.
Waterkloof versus Help Mekar. I know where you go.
I'm definitely going with Waterkloof.
I thought
Okay.
you would.
Moodles,
I think
Waterkloof.
it's the wise choice. I'm with Moodles on this one.
Okay.
I think they've just had a really good
Two-time
season.
Waterkloof.
They're playing really good hockey. I'm just not sure Help Mekar's got enough to get up over them this weekend, would be my guess.
Okay, we'll come back to that result.
Are you
I've
not
noted
getting
it.
involved yet?
No, I've been the diplomatic one, just watching at this stage.
Okay. You got the
I've
most to
made-
lose. You're
I've
so
got-
involved in,
And I've
in
got the
girls and
Pretoria
women's hockey.
bias,
People
so-
Yeah.
will hold it against
I
you.
know,
They won't hold it
I
against
know.
us if we bet against them.
Okay, then the next one out of St Mary's on Tuesday under Hull quarterfinal is Gasfontein versus St Mary's. I know where your heart is and your head is on this one, Kelvin.
It's a close one to call. There is some
It's a very close one to call.
there's some history there. So they played already this
They
season.
played already this season, and the Samaris team won away against Gasfontein. It was a midweek fixture. It was freezing cold. It was a 2-hour bus ride to get there.
And your
well,
goddaughter
little
playing.
Isabel Snell's playing for that St. Mary's. If I went against St. Mary's here, I'm not sure Isabel would ever forgive me. No, but certainly I think one thing I've seen that St. Mary's under 16 team has just got better with every outing this year. They're playing some really good hockey. I'm definitely going for St. Mary's over Gasfontein.
I already wrote it down.
Is there a shootout scenario in this?
There is.
Yeah, it goes
Yeah.
So my prediction is that it's going to be a draw. It's going to go to a shootout,
Oh.
and Gasfontein are going to win the shootout.
Okay.
Here we go. Given
Moodles,
what's happening
Farsies.
in all the women's football this past week in Euros,
Absolutely.
every
I know.
big one went to a shootout. It feels like that's the way women like to settle things, is in a penalty shootout.
Keep us on the
having
edge of our
watched a bit of
seats.
football.
Okay, next, our quarterfinal is at St Andrews, and it sees the hosts St Andrews take on Affy's Macy's.
This is an under 16.
Under 16.
I'll tell you what's going to be interesting here, and I don't know the answer, is there's some really good under 16 players at St Andrews, and whether they're playing in the under 16 team or in the first team. I'm going to go with St Andrews because I've got a feeling that there's some savvy coaches there who've had a look and gone, hang on, if we play under 16, they've got a really top group of under 16s, really good players. A lot of them are on an overseas tour. I've got a feeling that they're gonna get it up.
Yeah, I'd have to agree with Calvin there.
Okay.
We spoke about they won their under 16 festival earlier in the.
I think they
season.
lost in the final to the Cape School, didn't
Yes,
they? But they
they
certainly
did.
played in the final.
Okay.
They won all the way through, and I think they lost the final.
Yeah,
a really good team and some really good
I haven't
players.
heard much about Affy's Macy's under 16s. I don't.
Yeah,
know
their
they-
first
they
team.
was-
their first team's done
Yes.
well.
Yeah.
Their first team's done well.
So we're going with St Andrews.
Two on St Andrews. Then the last quarterfinal, also at St Andrews, is going to see St Stidians versus Menlo Park.
Ooh, at St Stidians.
No, it is at St Andrews actually.
At St Andrews.
So it's neutral ground. It's since
Menlo Park have been good this year.
yeah.
I'm going to go with Menlo. I have to stick to my Pretoria connect.
No,
I've chosen all the Pretoria schools, so I better not stop now.
I also have a hunch that that's going to
Okay.
go Menlo's way. They play good hockey this year. There's a lot of really good hockey being played there, so I'm going to go with Menlo.
Okay, so we got Waterkloof for both of you, St Mary's, Khasi's, 2 St Andrews, 2 Menlo. That's the under 16s. Now over to the under 19s. So similar, we've got a nice range of competition coming in here. So you're going to see the first quarterfinal for the under 19s is actually going to be St Mary's versus St Andrews at St Mary's. That I can give you some insight. St Mary's did play St Andrews in the season and had a nice 3-0 win.
Yeah.
So that's just a little bit of insight on my side.
Again, it will depend on what the sort of focus is for St Andrews on this.
Absolutely.
Yeah, I think I'm going to go with St Mary's on this one.
I'm
You'll
also
have
going to go with St Mary's. No, I think they've again much similar to the under 16 team. It's been an odd year for St Mary's.
Yeah.
They started so not badly, but given their standards, but they just seem to have improved all along, and they've got some really talented players. A lot of those players also who didn't make themselves available
For nationals.
for nationals, I think they'll be rested, and some of their better players. So I think St Mary's are going to have enough to get up,
Zara Colin, for
to
example.
get up over St Andrews
Yeah.
at the under 18 game.
Yes, definitely. I actually know Cindy Brown's having to fly back from senior IPT to coach on Tuesday to fly
At
back.
least she's taking it seriously. Ros Howe would be very disappointed if she wasn't.
Very. Okay, next one is actually a team I don't know much about. Ege Janssen versus Waterkloof at Parktown Girls. So Parktown Girls hosting that quarterfinal. Ege Janssen coming through, which is really exciting.
Yeah.
Do you know who they
Waterkloof-
played in the last round, or is it?
I don't. I sadly haven't done my homework there. In that.
We've been struggling to get all
Yeah,
the results
all
we
the
needed
results, 'cause
for
it's such
for
a
this
large
tournament.
tournament.
It's just
Yeah.
and it's very disparate. It's not played at one place,
Okay.
so hard
Yeah.
to get them all in. Look, I think Waterkloof have had a very good year. I can't see Ege Janssen getting up over Waterkloof.
I'm gonna go with
on
Waterkloof
that
as
as
well.
well. So
Okay.
we're going with Waterkloof, I think.
Okay, so Kloofies on that one. So we go across now to Red Hill, who are going to be hosting Noordhierville versus Gasfontein for that quarterfinal. A very interesting one because
Both teams
both
have played good
teams.
hockey this year.
Yes.
They play similar type of hockey as well. So there's some really good players on both sides. Sure, that's a really tough
it's
one
a tough
to call.
one.
Yeah, I'm going to go again with my bias for Pretoria. I'm going to go Gasfontein for that one.
The one thing, Gasfontein have got an incredible aerial game that and some
done
really
well this
quick
season.
wingers and forwards that can get away from you. I think Gasfontein, if they can sort out their short corners, the couple of times I've watched them, they haven't quite been as effective at the short corners as they would like to be with the players they've got. But I'm with you.
Okay,
I think
so
we're
two
going
for
to give it to
Gasies.
Gasfontein.
Okay.
We're not going too differently here.
Yeah,
are we?
no.
So
Only
someone
one
in the
or
last
two.
one's going to have to separate. Otherwise, we're just going to draw. It's feeling like cooks and spit that we just like, you've
Play
seen
off
them on
each
the
other.
rugby show. They play off each other. They both go with the same result, and then they sort of
No one can
wrong.
win.
Exactly.
Okay,
I'm just
last
trying to keep my friends in Pretoria.
Exactly.
last
I've got
one.
no friends in Pretoria.
Last one here. It's nice to see Edenvale hosting. So that quarterfinal is going to see Affy's Macy's versus Northcliffe. Northcliffe having a good season. They have some really good players.
They have
They're
got-
coached by an ex-national player, Shanae Bailey. So that's a bit of insight. But Affie's equally have had a really good season.
Affie's have had a very good year.
Yes. No, I think that's Affie's.
Yeah, Affie's have been very good. It would only be a.
You guys have been pretty boring. Yeah.
Yeah, look, we can only play it as we see it, and I think I think Affie's have certainly played some really good hockey this year. So
okay,
let's see how we go.
What stood out there for me is the number of different schools that have the facilities to host.
Yeah.
Absolutely,
I mean, it's incredible.
Yeah.
Well, just the new Astros opening up. Whilst you're away, I'm not sure. Brescia have just laid a new Astro at SuperSport, laying a new Astro. I don't know if you've been down there yet.
I haven't
to the
seen
Brescia
it
Astro,
yet.
so no one's invited us. Bridget, are you surprised? Michelle
Michelle.
Jabay and
Yeah.
James and people. James Wellstead, I thought you would have invited us by now
For
to
the
come and
big
have a look
opening.
at your. But maybe there's a big opening ceremony to come, and we're always available to be guest speakers or MC it. But another wonderful Astro being opened down there. So all to play for Tuesday night. So by the
Yes.
time the show airs, people will know the results. So people will know when they see this
Know if
whether
we're
we're
right or
wrong. And we'll be shooting next week's show on Friday, so we'll be shooting it before the finals, but we'll know
the
then
semi-finals.
who's got through the semi-finals. Obviously, all of these games live on the
All of them.
SuperSport Schools app, so where
Yes.
else would you look for your hockey action other than on the SuperSport Schools app? And the final on Saturday, it won't be on Channel 216
Yeah,
live.
we have a lot of rugby on Saturday, but we
Pretty
will.
big rugby this
Yes,
weekend.
big rugby, but we'll be sure that everything will be on SuperSport Schools app, so we'll make sure that no one misses
Catch
action.
it there. So
Yeah.
we'll be back after the break talking about the KZN Spar finals from St. Mary's in Kloof. Hockey on 216, proudly brought to you by Hyundai. Tonight we're coming from Hyundai, Veltervreden Park, and with me is Darren Naidu, the dealer principal here at Hyundai. Darren, thanks so much for hosting us. We really appreciate it.
Pleasure to have you.
To all of those viewers back home, if you're coming to the Veltervreden Park Hyundai dealership, why come here?
Well, we're running specials here on our Hyundai Extra, as you can see, 15,000 cashback. If you quote SuperSport Schools, we'll give you up to 20 on these, as well as free anti-smash and grab on any of the vehicles.
So another 5% if you come and quote SuperSport Schools sent me. Well, there you go. If there's not a better reason to be watching Hockey on 216, proudly brought to you by Hyundai, 5% off a Hyundai Exeter tonight, 7 p.m. Welcome back to Hockey on 216, proudly brought to you by Hyundai. And this evening we're at the Hyundai in Veltervreden Park. Dealer principal Darren Naidu has said on the Exeter, there's 15,000 Rand off. And if you come in the next week and tell him that SuperSport School sent you, he'll give you 20,000 Rand off. So take advantage of that extra 5,000 Rand. Incredible deal for the
I
extra.
think we might end up driving out in one of these.
Well, I
all
saw
of us.
Campbell Blaine ran it just now to try and see if he could take it up as a SuperSport Schools employee. He tried to get extra. He went for 20%, I think, instead of it. Anyway. Talking about some wonderful partners within the SuperSport Schools environment. Bridget, KZN Spar Girls Finals held at that little girls' school in Kloof,
Yes, that's
St.
one.
Mary's,
No, it's
this
the
past weekend. So it was the finals, just one of the really big weekends in girls' hockey in KZN.
yeah, it was a phenomenal weekend, and it is such a special weekend. Spar put on the most fabulous display. As someone who loves going and trying festival food, Spar's catering was off the chart. It always is. They just have the coffee out, the cakes out.
They've got some magnificent coffee and cakes, and I hear there's a new pie range there as well. I must actually get the name, but there's some wonderful new pies, including a shamrock pie for those that are in the Eastern Cape. So you can imagine you're an Eastern Caper.
Absolutely.
So there's some wonderful
bringing back
pies
some
coming
memories.
down. We'll have to, maybe we must get some of those delivered across in celebration of it soon. So, Bridget, just reminding everyone that there's regional tournaments played all across KZN through the season. The 8 finalists from those 8 regionals come together.
Yeah. So it's actually
At St. Mary's Kloof.
it's actually 10
10
regionals
10 regions.
that happen from pretty much February up until now, and then every single winner from that gets gifted to come to the final. Everything paid for. They get put up at the boarding house. So St. Mary's Kloof clear out some of their boarders and put them in the grade 8 boarding hostel for the weekend, and then the schools enjoy a whole weekend of hockey. It's short games. It's 25-minute games. They were played over Saturday and Sunday, and then concluding on Sunday at 12 o'clock with the mighty final.
So
Yeah.
maybe just remind us of the 10 schools that were there, Bridget. St Mary's, obviously.
St Mary's, and then
defending champions and host.
yes, they've won it 7 times.
Only 7.
Only 7 of the 15 years. Durban Girls College lost out this year. They've won it 5 times, but they were replaced by Morris Stella. First time Spar.
Gowan Jones will be very pleased with that
Very
result, no
pleased.
doubt, knocking out that what's been an amazingly good Durban Girls College team this year.
Absolutely. So we had St Mary's, St Anne's, Ashton International College.
It was their first time
First
participating.
year. Also very chuffed for Keegan Gibbon, his team down there. So really good. Epworth, also first year with
Well, I think they played
Galleys.
before, but their first time back in a long,
Yes.
long time. So really good, and it's been a wonderful season for that Epworth team under Darren Gallagher.
Absolutely. Then Morris Stella, as we mentioned. Ferrum High School, so that one coming out of the Newcastle stretch. St Patrick's, so coming out
Yes.
of, is it Impangeni side? Felixton, also have been there before, but
Sort of regular in the
come back.
tournament.
Kingsway, your neck of the primary
Absolutely,
school
from
ways.
Mims and Toti.
And then Wartburg first year at the tournament as well. So
So
really cool.
Really good
No, I
10
mean,
teams.
that's
And
such a cool concept. I mean, to give those schools the opportunity to play in a festival like that. I think we spoke on a couple of when we went through some of the preliminary results of that tournament. Some of those games played on grass. You
Yes.
know, in those
some of those
regions.
schools playing on AstroTurf is a first time for
Yeah.
them. So it
What
is
an
really
amazing
wonderful,
concept.
amazing what Spar continue to do for
Well-
girls sport and hockey in particular.
And I mean, speaking last week to Guy Elliott, who came from Dundee, they actually host some of the tournaments out of that Dundee region. You think about how Les Galloway has done such a great job of creating these sort of hubs of
Absolutely.
hockey that allow these teams to come through. I mean, Kingsway, Wartburg, being able to come and play against a St Mary's or St Anne's, you know, some of the best coaches in the country in the school, in the youth space, some of the best players. Just really nice opportunity for
Wonderful
these
Great
AstroTurf. So
opportunity.
it really got quite interesting, and perhaps just getting into the tournament. Semis from Pool A, so 5 teams obviously in each pool is how
Yes.
they played it. So each team plays 4 matches to qualify. St Mary's and Epworth progressed from Pool A, which was again probably very much expected from
Yeah.
a St Mary's perspective. Darren Gallagher and his young charges from Epworth have really had a wonderful season, and it's great to see a school with a really rich sporting history just re-emerging from a hockey perspective and getting themselves into a semi-final.
Yeah, Dion Redfern, the headmistress of Epworth, actually, Alan Redfern now at Maritzburg College knew, but
He's got work to do.
yeah, he does.
Hockey people
He
taking
does.
over.
He's got
But
work
I
to
mean,
do.
Dion, you know, speaks so fondly of the program that's been put in place now through Darren and how it's rejuvenated that space. And you can see it in the way they play. They just had a
Absolutely.
great tournament. So really well done.
So they were through from Pool A, and Pool B was St Anne's and Ashton College.
Yes.
Ashton would be very pleased. First time out, getting into the semi-finals. Maristella will be a bit disappointed. They drew 0-0 with both teams in the
Yeah.
pool games, and sort of goal difference didn't get through. So no luck there to Gowan Jones and his charges. They were right in it. Unfortunately, you know, goal difference it matters in tournaments, doesn't it?
Tournament hockey, you know, you've got to get on the score sheet, and sometimes draws are what cost you. You know?
yeah, yeah.
So that set up semi-finals with Epworth and St Anne's
Yes.
and
St Mary's
against
Ashton.
Ashton.
So St Mary's took the victor of that on a 3-0 win over Ashton for that
Ashton.
semi-final. The second semi-final saw actually a great contest, St Anne's and Epworth, who would play in the season against each other, that went to 0-0, so went to shootouts, and Epworth just missing out very narrowly on that, and St Anne's just coming off with a 1-0 shootout result. So, you know, for Epworth, they would be super chuffed with that. They went off to play on the bronze against Ashton, and narrowly missing out on that one. So
Which again in another shootout.
yes.
So if Darren Gallagher's got one job to do in the off season,
Shootouts.
it's shootouts
Yeah.
and 8 seconders.
Oh,
So
we spoke about that earlier, and how much time is actually devoted
Spent on that.
to you know,
absolutely, but,
training those skills. Clearly, with all the tournament hockey on the go, it's going to be a skill that needs to be developed at school level.
and the
Absolutely.
confidence. I mean, often what happens is coaches sort of will go and say to the team, who wants to take the shootout? Because it's now down to the confidence of that
Yes.
player. So being confident enough to put your hand up is key, and that comes from practice. So yeah,
And,
a
I
big
mean
one.
that St Anne's Epworth team also would have been a match up in the semis would have been another one with lots of sisters playing. So the Schultz
Again.
sisters at Epworth, the Kelly sisters and
Hofmeyer
the
sisters
Hofmeyer sisters
and
at St. Anne's. So
I think it's Tom's sisters. Thomas sisters
Also at
St. Anne's. So it's
and
three
so
sets.
lots
four
of sets of sisters. I know the Schultz girls were full of goals on Saturday, so it'll be interesting to see whether Catherine or Anna is leading that charge. We probably need to catch up on that. We did have some goal tallies, so coming towards the end of the season, see how those sisters are gone at St. Anne's.
Maybe
I think the Holderness sisters, Abigail is way ahead for the year, so I think that race is done. But we need to catch that up across a few more of the sisters that we were watching. So that got us down to the big final.
So the final saw St. Mary's obviously taking on St. Anne's. Host St. Mary's had a lot of people down. They brought their whole school out, which must have been very intimidating for St. Anne's, but they did not hold back at all. Jasmine Kelly had a great...
What would you expect with Morna? He's not going to hold back in a final, is he?
Not at all.
No.
I mean, I'm pretty sure there was a lot of emotion in that game, particularly because they would have felt with their backs against the wall, being the away team. So.
That's it.
And it's really good that it's inland versus coastal. I mean, it's just everything in that, isn't it?
You know who was St. Mary's saving grace, and she was formidable, the goalkeeper.
Again.
Mashunu. She just played Matunu. Yo, my Zulu's gone. Matunu. She was like outstanding. So she saved goal after goal. Holly Hofmeyer came in guns blazing, trying to get the goals in, and she just stopped everything. So she really, really should be super proud of her team and also what she put towards that final, and for them to take over the win. It was only a 1-0 win for St. Mary's.
But in a final, that's all it takes.
All it takes,
So
yeah.
1-0, and Bridge, you'll be quite pleased. St. Mary's finally winning something this year.
Yeah,
You backed them enough.
I did. I have backed my girls very hard, and I'm very chuffed for Carla coming in. She's had a good season. She's worked well with the girls. So nice coaching, nice team. They're going to lose a lot of players next year, so it's now
a rebuilding.
St. Anne's are going to keep a lot of players.
St. Anne's have got a lot back, haven't they? I think Epworth similarly have got quite a few. I'm not sure. I don't know too much about the Ashton setup, what's coming and what's going. So it'll be interesting to find that out. But just another wonderful tournament that's taken place over, what is it, almost 6 months of hockey to get us there. A wonderful...
No, I mean, again, I'm sitting here while we're talking about all these results and just thinking what it must be like for players from an area without any AstroTurf or without hockey on being broadcast live or anything like that, to be part of something like this. It must be an incredible experience for those teams.
Absolutely, and there's no doubt that Spar would have put on a great show for them. St. Mary's would have put on a great show for them. So it would have just been a wonderful event, not only for all of those players, but for all of those parents as well. A very, very, very special.
No, it is a special event, and I just think, great foresight from Les, just putting it in place, allowing for it to happen, and for Spar to continuing and being so loyal to the growth of hockey. It's incredible.
I must say, it's I've been thinking a lot about Spar and the contribution to not only to hockey but to girls' sport in general. And I think when the story of women's sport in South Africa is told, when we reflect on the progress, the breakthroughs, the pride, there'll always be one name that stands out, and that's Spar. For years, Spar's been doing more than just sponsoring events. They've built platforms, opened doors, and backed the dreams of thousands of young women and girls across our nation. From football courts to hockey AstroTurfs, their support's gone beyond branding. It's been a real statement that girls' sport matters, that it deserves to be seen, celebrated and supported, and nowhere is that more visible than in schoolgirl hockey, Bridget. Spar has helped ensure that all communities from the opportunity to compete as well, to grow and to excel and just to get exposed. They've helped shine a light on the passion, the talent and the teamwork that defines this beautiful game of hockey of ours. And I think on behalf of SuperSport schools and everyone who believes in the power of sport to transform lives, we thank you, Spar, for standing with our girls, for standing for progress, and for helping write a better, braver, and more equal future through sport.
Yeah, incredible.
They have done an amazing job. So we'll be back after the break talking more hockey and having a look at what's to come and what's a really exciting week in front of us. Welcome back to Hockey on 216, proudly driven by Hyundai, and tonight coming from Hyundai in Weltevreden Park. This weekend also saw Cape Town International Hockey Tournament, Bridget, taking place down in the Western Cape.
Yeah, a massive tournament down there, and Redham Constantia will be thrilled with their win. Chris Hibbert's team clinching the win in the girls section against St. Patrick's School from Windhoek with a 3-0 win. So, you know, the Cape Town International Hockey Tournament does so well. It's got Zim schools, some Namibian schools, so very exciting to have.
Some schools from Europe as well, I think, participate as well. A couple of schools that are out at the moment touring as well. So,
yeah,
so Redham with the win. I mean, they've had good hockey all year. They've got some really good players.
Yeah, you found Emma Hibbert.
Young Gitlin, another child that's played some good hockey this year.
Exactly. So I'm chuffed
nice
for them
to get up and win one.
Exactly. And then on the boys section, Sachs put together a stayers team. So they then take all the, you know, the pupils that are sticking around next year, and they clinch the win there. So it just shows the depth again in the Sachs.
Well, it still includes Lita Cry, doesn't it? Because he's
exactly.
back. He's back.
I'm sure that many of the school teams don't want to hear that Lita's back next year.
Absolutely.
But Sachs under 16 team have been
really good sign as well. So
no surprises there. That their program, it would seem now, you know, it's amazing how quickly things just develop. Like if you want to play hockey, you go to Sachs. So they're attracting some real talent.
Absolutely. So talking about Sachs, it's that sort of big Western Cape Boland derby again on the weekend. Sachs versus Paul Roos on Friday night.
Absolutely. That one we're going to play out later. It does push back at 7 o'clock, but there's a whole lot of hockey on Friday.
Well, we're going to get into that, aren't we?
Yes,
so Hyundai Friday Night Lights this weekend is just packed.
Electric. So that one there is going to be a big decider. I think Sachs versus Paul Roos, and I'm going to pull a Calvin on you two quickly now and say, where's your money at on that one?
Well, it's hard to bet against the Sachs team, isn't it? I mean, they just are too good. They've got some, you know, they just have so many good players at every single sort of, you know, position right throughout the AstroTurf. It's really hard to.
I mean, if we sort of like we unpack their last encounter with Paul Remington on the show, you know, I just think that Sachs seem to just create opportunities out of nothing. You know, in midfield there'll be a loose ball. You know, they'll get some influential players onto that. Next minute they've got a circle entry and a goal, and you know you've got your back against the wall. So I think it's going to take an incredible defensive effort from Paul Roos if they want to stay in that game. They also have the ability to score goals, but it's going to be not conceding. That's going to be the big challenge against Sachs.
Yeah, and that is really difficult. And young Swanepoel is going to have a big role to play in that. And but again, just that base that Sachs team play off. So you know, you have someone like Joe LaRue who's just been so magnificent all year, but then alongside him, players like Hughes and Redford who just do such a good lead. And any other team, we'd be talking about them as superstars. It just happens that they need to be playing with, you know, the LaRues and the Cries of the world, so they sort of play second fiddle. Well, that's the thing. Lita doesn't score. Well, I'll tell you what, Reece Tennyson's going to score against you. So it's I can't, you know. Michael Baker's one of my favourite coaches. Unless he's been up in those mountains and come with something very special, I can't imagine that that's going to go any other way than Sachs.
I mean, this is a lot of the Sachs Matric boys are also playing at senior IPT for the Western Province team, so they're going to be jumping around quite a bit. But that game, they're all coming back.
If anything, maybe they'll run out of legs, but we can't see it coming. But
having said that, I think that Michael Baker's a smart coach.
Well, we know that.
Playing a team the second time around is completely different to playing them the first time around. There's a bit of pressure from Sachs to repeat that result. And I think that Michael will come out with a plan. We saw some things in the first game. I think he's going to come out with
He'll have a plan, but good luck to him. Good luck, Michael. It's going to be tough. Friday Night Lights, though, Bridget, really interesting Friday Night Lights. I mean, obviously for, you know, I think unless you're sort of sleeping under a rock, you don't really know, but it's the Pole Derby this weekend. So whether it's netball, whether it's rugby, and even whether it's hockey, it's a massive weekend in the Pole. So we'll be starting off Friday Night Lights from the Pole with Pole Girls versus Pole Gym at Pole Gym.
Correct.
So that's first up.
That one there, we're going to find that Pole Gym, Pole Girls fixture is going to be a real exciting one, playing at 6 o'clock on Friday night. So we start there and then we cross over, you know, after a lot of girls action across the board in Pole. We go all the way down to the coast and we're going to see Northwood taking on DHS, another big clincher of the KZN Coast team. So that will be Hopper 7.
I think that's going to be an interesting one. This Northwood side have been a good side all season, and there'll certainly be a result they'll be looking to get up in.
Again, DHS just have that flair. And I think that's going to be difficult for Northwood to contend with. Again, like I've said about the Paul Roos-Sachs game, it's going to be about who's got the best defensive setup on the day. I think it's all about not conceding rather than scoring at the other end.
Absolutely, and our commentary team's having a bit of fun on Friday night. They're commentating from the Hyundai Storia Lux, so nice four-seater. The seats face each other. It's almost going to be the most luxurious commentary box they've had all year. So fantastic for them.
Yeah.
So that's Friday Night Lights, Bridget.
Yeah. So it's going to be, as we say, it's going to be that pole fixture followed by Northwood DHS. Then we've got Sachs Paul Roos, which will play out later, but still playing out on Friday night. So you can catch all the action live on the app, but on 216, that's the Hyundai Friday Night Lights for you. And then Saturday morning.
Just another wonderful, Friday night. And I mean, maybe just staying with Paul, obviously, then it's Polchim versus Paul Boys the next day.
Yes.
Polchim have been the better side this year, but watch that Paul Boys side against Paul Roos early in the year. There's a lot going on. They've got a really decent side, and it's a massive derby. So
just remind me where they're playing again.
They're playing at Chim.
Okay.
Yeah.
So well, you remember we spoke a little bit about the turf.
At Bouncy Astro at Boys High Junior, yeah.
That leveled the playing fields against Paul Roos a bit, but the Chim side has been good this year.
No, they have been.
And Paul Boys have come back strong later on in the season. So again, derbies always have this hype around them, and it's tough for the coaches to get the best out of their players because they tend to play with passion and forget some of the plans. But I think it's going to be tough for Paul Boys.
Talking about a passionate fixture, Jeppe versus King Edward VII at Jeppe on Saturday. That's as much passion as you're going to find in any derby, anywhere in the country, anywhere in the world.
No, a historical derby. I think it's the 100th playing of this derby. Between two incredible schools who have done so much for sport in general in the Gauteng. So it's going to be a big clash. I think Jeppe will have the upper hand in the hockey.
You would think so.
And playing at home.
Absolutely.
At home,
But an interesting incentive that Jeppe have put out to their community. They've created a VIP stand. Traditionally, there's so many people that it's difficult to find a place to sit.
Absolutely. I mean, what are we looking at? 12, 13,000 people that'll be at Jeppe on Saturday.
Big. And they've said if you wear your Jeppe old school jersey on Saturday, you get a seat on the VIP.
You get a seat in the stand. So you have to have an old school jersey with Jeppe. If you come with a Kez, because there's lots of Kez old school jerseys, do they get a seat there?
I think they get left in the gate. They get closed behind.
Maybe we're throwing a cat amongst the pigeons.
Yeah, maybe.
I might have to wear my old school jersey to the pole derby this weekend as well, because it's going to be
just to get yourself a seat at that pole derby.
Exactly.
So that's a big one. Maritzburg College versus Pretoria Boys. Two teams that have probably not had the results either of them would have liked this year. Crimson.
Yeah, I think it's going to be. They drew 2-2 the first time, if I'm not mistaken.
During Nomads, I think it was.
Yes, I think so. And it's always and they play each other home and away. So I think they would.
Oh, and they've drawn. So they're actually coming off 2 draws because I think they drew. Oh no, it was Hilton that drew with the Pretoria Boys. So you're right. This is the second.
But it's always tough for Boys to travel down there. But I think it's going to be a tough weekend for Maritzburg College. I'm sure a lot of emotion around after their loss to Uffies. So it's
absolutely.
Tough to bounce back.
I can tell you the Maritzburg College hockey groups this week were not too pleased, and they'd hate to see a double loss to the schools from Pretoria.
I'm going to back the schools from Pretoria. I have to go against College.
Look, I think Pretoria Boys have been good all year, and this really probably is a fixture that could go either way. I'm really hoping the Maritzburg College home ground advantage comes through. So that'll be an interesting one. Waterkloof versus Uffies, another good one.
Yeah.
Probably in the girls' one, that's going to be really tight.
The girls are obviously playing at Pullenhal.
Oh, of course. So they won't be playing in
that
the fixture
fixture for the under 16 and under 19s, but the other teams will be. But I mean, in the boys, space, it's going to be
that's
quite
also
busy.
going to be tough. But Affies are on the rise. And I mean, geez, if you haven't got confidence after beating
Absolutely. I
Maritzburg
was going to
College,
say,
I mean,
Yeah.
like,
they'll definitely be, the confidence will be up, their tails
they'll
will
be
be up,
going,
and
and then,
tough for Waterkloof.
Yeah.
One of my sort of more interesting games that I love, having spent a lot of time in both towns, is Charlie Hofmeyer are hosting Amanus. And you were saying, I mean, Amanus has been playing some really good hockey this season and had some really good results.
Yeah, I looked at their boys' results this past weekend, and they seem to be getting more and more competitive. I also spent quite a bit of time in Amanus, so interested. I've walked around that Astro quite a bit. It's
It's a
The one
beautiful
as
Astro.
well, they must be the two schools with the most beautiful
Yeah.
Astros. I mean,
amazing.
Charlie Hofmeyer is against the mountain. Hermanus with that incredible sea view, just extraordinary. So, St. Sips versus Herschel, Bridget?
Great fixture. That's always going to be a bit of a chase of
Can go either way?
It really can. And, Natalie Estevez coming off a great win out of National, not a win, but she had a great tournament at Nationals. Likewise, Herschel having a great season. So that'll be a
It'll
good
be
fixture.
tight. You're not going to give it a call. You're not going to call it.
I'm keeping neutral on that one. I actually,
You're in the Cape. You're going to pop in, or in
I
fact,
might.
you probably won't because it's on Saturday, and I'm sure
Yeah.
you'll be joining me at the Pole Derby. Bridget and I
Yeah.
are making our debut at the Pole Derby.
You're going to have to try all the food, Bridget. Best to.
I know.
No,
I
it's
think
gonna
there are
be-
other things to also
Yeah.
try.
Don't
and
have
roll
breakfast
sometimes.
on that
There's a
day.
lot of other things than just good food in the pole. So,
Yep.
Kristen, one of the things you'll be quite pleased about, because it's something you've been raising a lot through the years, just the rise of Boland hockey. So unfortunately, you've got a bit of work to do, and you're still busy here before you go on a nice August holiday break with the private schools in Joburg. But we're going to be deep diving next week into Boland hockey and what's going on in Boland hockey. And we're really pleased. Johan van Skalkwijk, the dealer principal from Hyundai and Paul, is going to be hosting Bridget and I. We're going to shoot the show on Friday morning. And we've got some really amazing guests. So we're going to dig into sort of what's going on in that Boland hockey with one of our favourite coaches, Michael Baker, and of course the very successful Chris Gerber this year, who's coming off a wonderful season both with Renish and his Boland girls. So that's going to be a really interesting insert. Anything you'd particularly like us to be asking the two of them?
Yeah, I mean, I had the pleasure of interviewing Michael Baker at Hibbert Shield.
You did, yes.
Interesting insights. I mean, this is a young Paul Roos team. We mustn't forget that.
Yeah,
they are going to be so interesting. You'll chat to him before his game against Sachs. It'll be interesting to hear if he'll let any secrets out there. And Chris, again, we've had on the show, and it'll be good to see. He also spoke about a young Herschel team and how they've gained experience over the season.
So we're looking forward to that, and then we're going to follow that up with the two coaches responsible for a lot of what's going on at Paul Gym this year, Danel van Sail and Jacques Schrobler.
Yep.
Both have really had fantastic seasons with their teams. They're hosting the derby the next day, so we're really looking forward to talking to them. Neither of them have we had on the show, so I'm really looking forward to that interaction.
Because the Pole Derby is so big, I didn't realize how big, but they have a thing called Bragg on the Friday. It's massive.
They do a lot of bragging down
Well,
there in the pole, but yeah.
But I mean, they're juggling, finishing Bragg, and then they're going to race over to us and chat to us, and then rush back and prepare for what sounds to be a mammoth weekend of all sorts of build-up.
Well, it's going to be massive. I mean, I must say, I'm really looking forward to it. I mean, we just do it so well in this country, don't we? Put on derbies, and by all reports, this is the biggest of them all. So we're looking forward to it. And the final guest that we're going to be having with us is Elmar Liebenberg's going to join me. A lot of people know him really well in Nepal. And you know what we're really going to be talking about is this extraordinary legacy of hockey that exists in Paul going back into the 60s and 70s, and particularly with boys or men's hockey out of Paul Gym. So I'm not going to let too much go there, but we're going to be talking about a lot of those wonderful characters that came out of that, including Elmar's father, Elwin, his three brothers, the Liebenberg brothers, who are legends. So I'm looking forward to just finding out a little bit more about that rich history of hockey in Nepal.
And we often associate Paul with rugby, hey? But
we always associate it with rugby and a little bit of netball,
yeah.
never too much hockey. So
looking forward to that.
It's fantastic. So guys, thanks again. It's been a wonderful show talking hockey on 216. Proudly driven by Hyundai. We'll be back next week with everything out of the Boland.